Hello everybody! Welcome to the reading of a very special book today. It's called
The Hat Shop.
The Hat Shop, and it's very special. Why is it special, Martha?
Because my mummy wrote it.
Special because I wrote it. My name is Sally Cox and this is Martha Cox, and we are going to read you The Hat Shop. We hope you love it as much as we do. The illustrations are by a very good friend of ours called Marie Wilkinson, and we think they are fantastic. So we hope you enjoy. Okay. Okay. Mike is a polar bear. Mouse is a mouse, and they live at the top of their very tall house. They make their money and put food in their tummy, selling magical hats to you and your mummy. Mouse works his sewing machine, wearing his clogs, singing and tacking and turning the cogs. Mike's magic bike spins, exploding with light, spraying powder and sparkle up into the night. The shop stands tall and proud on the street, a queue out of the door round the bend every week. On the dot 9 o'clock, folks would whistle and wail, excited to enter their adventurous tale. First in the line was Granny Green Knickers, clutching her handbag and wearing her slippers. Mike held out his hand and took her inside. Her jaw fell open and eyes opened wide. Wow! The shop was enormous, stormy and breezy, and today it smelt just a little bit cheesy. A tree towered up through the middle of the room, and a witch was flying around on a broom. The timid old lady climbed onto the stump, and her face turned bright red as she gave a wee trump. She looked all around, Martha. She looked all around at the hats, large and small. There were so many, they covered the wall. And you see all these hats all over the place. And we have a little snake and a little animal on a swing and a mouse in a raincoat.
Can you see that tiny snail? I don't think you can.
Some hats were furry, some hats were smelly. Some looked like buildings made out of jelly. Others were slimy and covered in mould, while a child once had one that gave her a cold. One tasted of chocolate, one dripped with green snot. Another had a tiger sailing a yacht. Some had fruit on them, castles and eggs, and one even jumped down and ran away on its legs. She tried on a few, but nothing seemed right. She got a nip from a pig and a fright from a knight. She looked confused, but then gave a grin. There, she shouted, there in that bin. Mike pulled out a hat as he bent on one knee, with a teapot, a crown, and a large bumblebee. Yes, yes, she cried, that one is for me. I must have that hat, and here is my fee. She placed her gold coin in a slot on the stand, and a group of black ants danced around in a band. There was a loud pop, then a whistle and a woo, as the tree shook and shivered, and out popped Cuckoo. With the hat on her head, smoke flew out of her toes, and sparks blue and yellow came out of her nose. Her ears fizzed and whizzed, the hat gave a loud bang, as Mike stirred the cauldron and joyfully sang. Flippity, flappity, flop, flop, flew. Here is a magical hat for you. Your adventure begins in this cloud of pink. Now hold your nose and drink this drink.
What do you think will happen next?
Oh, that's what it says. What do you think? Shall we find out? Granny Green gave a laugh and started to wail. She had entered into her adventurous tale. As she opened her eyes and began to wake, there was an enormous pink and blue cake. It sat in the middle of a table for two, and the lady at the end said, "How do you do?" She took a seat and cut a huge slice, then was served a cup of tea by some uniformed mice. She took a large bite and a sip of her tea, but all of a sudden, she needed a wee. Oh no, she thought, what am I to do? But thankfully, a mouse showed her straight to the loo.
That makes me need the loo.
At the end of the room where the grand lady sat, Granny noticed a bee that was fuzzy and fat. It buzzed on her cake and whizzed round her crown. "Stop!" shouted Granny as Queenie danced like a clown. Granny jumped on the table and raced to the end, striding and swerving to help her new friend. Granny dived at the bee and it flew in the air. Then they danced on the table and let down their hair. It's a good job that Granny was there. In a flash she was back with a smile on her face, looking flushed and as though she had just won a race. Mike cheered. "You're back. Tell us where you have been." "Why, yes," she said. "I've had tea with the Queen." Roll up, who's next?" shouted Mike. And looking around, he saw a boy with a kite. George looked at his mum, who had a very large tum. She gave a big smile and raised her thumb. George stood on the stump, feeling tall and grand, umming and ahhing, then pointed with his hand. "There," he shouted, "that one at the back, with puffy white clouds and a fat ginger cat. Flippity, flappity, flop, flop, flew. Here is a magical hat for you. Your adventure begins in this cloud of blue. Now jump up and down and chew this chew. Up through the clouds he wobbled and swayed, then popped out of the top where the sun gave him a wave. He looked all around at a beautiful blue sky, and the cat from his hat flew an aeroplane by. The cat looked and shouted, "Hey, come fly with me." George swam through the sky, smiling with glee. They flew up and down, round and round, sometimes nearly touching the ground. "Oh no," shrieked George as he spotted a chick falling from the tree, all speedy and quick. They pointed the plane and dashed to help and pulled the chicken before it could yell. Phew. Soaring like eagles, the adventure was over as they skidded on landing in a field full of clover. George picked a bouquet of flowers for his mum, then returned to the hat shop with a very dirty bum. Next in the line was little Miss Martha. Oh, look what she's wearing. Who was holding the hand of her best friend called Arthur. She looked up at Mike and gave a little squeal as Arthur pushed her forward, and she did a cartwheel. Flippity, flappity, flop, flop, flew. Here is a magical hat for you. Your adventure begins in this cloud of rose. Now turn around twice and strike a pose. Smiling and laughing, her face all a grin, she had chosen a hat, a fish and a fin. She climbed on the stump in the middle of the store, the hat dripping wet seaweed all over the floor. Martha dived off the stump into an ocean of blue, swirling and twirling with a mermaid or two, flapping and clapping their tails all around, singing and swaying, making a beautiful sound. Martha swam to the bottom where she quietly sat on a turtle with a fish that was shaped like a bat. Along came a seahorse and crab with a fiddle, a shark and an octopus doing a fancy wiggle. Martha swam to the bottom. Then off shot the turtle with Martha astride, a couple of fish hanging on for the ride. They swam over mountains of coral and reed, floating along at spectacular speed. A dolphin came to her and swam by her side. It said, "Come on, Martha, hop on for a ride." She was dragged along, holding on to its fin. It jumped out the water and did a huge spin. "Oh no," Dolphin cried, as it crashed down to sea. "I just hit my head. Now I've a bump like a pea." "Don't worry," said Martha. "I'm a first aid master. Come here and I'll give you a sticky little plaster." Oh, thank you, Martha.
We have to do it.
There we go. Put the plaster on him. Brilliant. Mike, Mouse and Arthur she eagerly met, back in the shop, all soaking and wet. "Wow," she exclaimed, "that's my best day ever. Thank you, Mike and Mouse. You are ever so clever." Mike and Mouse had a fantastical day, so they shut up shop and they counted their pay. "We sold 23 hats. Now it's time for a cuppa," said Mike as they headed upstairs for their supper. Mike, Mouse and Mouse hope you enjoyed the tales and adventures of Martha and George and the granny with dentures. Who knows, boys and girls, for tomorrow's a new day. It might be your turn to come over and play. The end. So we hope you enjoyed the Hat Shop, and we can tell you that it is published on the 28th of May 2020, and you can buy it if you want to on my website, which is sallycox.uk. On Amazon, you can buy it from the Pegasus Publishers website. You can buy it from Barnes & Noble.
Or the bookshop.
Lots of bookshops, basically. So we hope you loved it, and we hope you support us and the Hat Shop, our very first children's picture book. And thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.